Good evening, Villa fans. Welcome to another episode of the Hot End Talks. I'm flying solo tonight. Everyone's abandoned me. I'm officially a loner. Just me tonight. A lot has happened since the last time we done an episode, which was me, Scott, and Nathan from the kit drop. Most notably, Ezri and Ollie looking like they might be leaving, or Ezri for sure. So I thought I'd just come on here and talk to you guys about it and try to answer anyway, questions that I've seen come out online that some fans are worried, some fans are excited. We're all in the same boat, so I just want to kind of talk about everything that's kind of gone on. So obviously the main bit that came out this morning was obviously Ezri Konsa to Arsenal. It's been flirted with throughout the whole of the summer, really. But today, David Ornstein dropped that it was basically a done deal. And then I think it was about half hour later said it's for £51 million plus add-ons. I've seen a few different takes on this regarding the price. For me personally, I think we should have been getting a little bit more. Just because you look at Van Hecker had 1 year left on his deal, and then he ends up, going for 50 million, and Ezri's obviously by far a better player than Van Hecker. So I'm a little bit disappointed that we couldn't get a little bit more, but on the flip side, 2 years left on his deal. I'm sure there must have been a bit of on Ezri's part saying, look, I'm not going to sign a new deal. I want to go Arsenal. I live in London anyway. I don't know if any of you knew that he lives in London. He commutes to Bodymore Heath every single day. So it's more local to where he grew up, to where he lives. So he's probably, knocked on Emery's door, knocked on Nassif Swearer's door and said, look, can we make it happen? They're willing to come up to 50. If you lower it to 50, we can get something done. They've come up with 51 plus add-ons. Which I saw someone else say it's the most. It was my Uncle Ant said it was the most in the Premier League someone's paid for a 28-year-old defender. And if you look at 7 years of quality service, best centre half I've seen alongside Martin Larsson, and we have some good years. I mean, he was signed when we got promoted. Also, our first year back in the Prem, so that summer where we signed, another football team, really. Ezri came in, I want to say, for around £12 million from Brentford. So to have him for 7 years and to make, quadruple the price the fee we paid for him, it is good business. But it's just a shame that we've lost another key member alongside all the other players we have done. This season. Not quite sure how he'll fit into Arsenal's plans, because when Saliba comes back, they got Calafiori, Hincapié, Timber, Ben White, all of them can play along the back in the centre as well. So not quite sure how it's going to work when he comes back. That's Arsenal's problem to deal with. I feel like it got a little bit stale towards that middle part of the season when McGinn got injured and we had that midfield sort of catastrophe. Ezri obviously took the armband, and I think it was he had a go at the Villa fans. I think it was Wolves away when we lost 2-0. He, after the game, giving it large to the Villa fans, and fair enough if he was backing up his performances, but I thought, at the time he weren't playing well whatsoever. I think over the course of the season, I think Lindelof was arguably our best defender. I think Powell's obviously injured for a little bit, but head to head, I probably would have said Lindelof was probably our best defender last year. So yeah, it is like I didn't expect Arsenal to pay this sort of money. So it is a shame, really, to see Ez go. But looking at possible replacements, the only name I've seen touted around is Tosin Adebayo from Chelsea, the former Fulham defender. Not for me personally, same age as Ezri. Not sure what price you'd be getting, but really not for me. If he came in, I'd back him 100%. Obviously, you know, if Unai Emery wants him, I think the Villa fans deserve to give him a chance. But yeah, that one off the bat, I don't get excited by. The other one that was tied around last 2 weeks ago was Kim Min Jae, but they were loose links. Haven't heard anything since. Obviously, Kim Min Jae starts for Bayern Munich, so I don't see him coming to Villa personally. Could be wrong. I know it's a bit of a shock, Ezri leaving, but Villa will have planned for this. Villa will have had a short list of players, and they would have already been in contact, so they know who's going to want to come to Villa and who's not. They would have been prepared for Ezri leaving. This is a shock to us Villa fans, but it's really not a shock to Villa. I can guarantee you that they would have were smarter than that, or I'd like to think we are anyway. My personal opinion on it: sad to see him go, but now he has gone, I wouldn't be surprised if Lindelof steps into Ezri's shoes and you get someone to back up Lindelof. I'm not talking like a 28, 29-year-old to back Lindelof up. I'm looking more on the younger side. Not sure if Cissé's fully ready yet, so it wouldn't surprise me us bringing in, I think Bournemouth just signed Antonio Silva from Benfica. It wouldn't surprise me if we got that sort of player, that young, you know, the late teens, early 20s. Lindelof has given, you know, a year, 18 months, a couple of years in that right centre half slot, learning off Lindelof. I think that would be an ideal sort of backup. Because like I said, I'm not sure Cisse is ready yet. And when we're trying to compete on all fronts, you know, we want to get Champions League again. We want to go far in Europe. We want to qualify for Europe again. We want to go far in the League Cup and FA Cup. We've got to have a decent backup. Not saying Cisse isn't, but if you need to, you know, if we've got Club Brugge away in the Champions League, do I see Cisse playing? No. But do I see an Antonio Silva-like player playing? Yeah, I do. So I think that's where we're going to look at, I reckon. I don't think we're going to sign someone for 50 million. I could be wrong, but I generally think it's going to be a lot this season in the big games, going to be Powell and Lindelof. Other bit of news that came out last night actually was the news that Ollie Watkins is attracting attention from Al Hilal. I've just spilt my tea everywhere. Absolutely fantastic. Jesus Christ. Ollie Watkins going to Al Hilal. Reports suggesting that he's had obviously long-term sort of admiration from Saudi. Obviously we know all about that league. Obviously we sold the AWB there, Duran there. So many players have gone over there. They're willing to play stupid money. On the cusp of it, you look at it, he turns 31 in December. If you could get anywhere north of £50 million, I think that's good money. Some people might hear that and say, well, he guarantees us goals. Absolutely. If we keep Ollie, I understand it. But very much, we're in that market where we have to sell where players are at their most. You look at Konsa, if we didn't sell this summer, it would have only gone down. If we don't sell Ollie now, it will only go down. Both have 2 years left on their contract. Deep down, not sure how it's going to unfold. I personally think he's going to go because the reports are saying that he's keen on the move. Can't blame him, really, because sets him up for life, sets his kids up for life. So I don't blame anyone going to Saudi because the money's there, money talks. It's obviously that football legacy does get tarnished. Like when it's all said and done, people are going to remember him going to Saudi, and him as a number 9, a class number 9, won't hold as much weight. Whereas if he was to stay at Villa and make the 100 club for the Premier League, I think he's only 9 goals off. I want to say 9 goals. As far as recording this video, it's Wednesday. Don't know the date. Wednesday, sometime in August, and it's around 7 o'clock. And there's been 3 bids been rejected from Al Hilal, and it's just come out that we've offered him a 4-year deal till 2030 to try persuade him to stay. For me, it's a bit panicky, a bit rash. Offering at the time he's going to be a 34-year-old player on massive wages. A 4-year deal's big. Obviously, that's a sign that obviously Villa want to keep him, but it's I think it is a slight panic on Villa's behalf. Just that a 4-year deal is for a 30-year-old is a lot. Again, not sure if he's going to take that. We don't know yet. At the time of recording this video, we've offered John Townley's reporting on Birmingham Mail that Birmingham Live, that we've offered him the contract. So it's probably going to come out as soon as this video drops that he's either accepted it or rejected it, and then this video has gone stale. But as we're recording it, we've offered him a contract, and we have turned down 3 previous bids. In terms of replacements, there is a kind of ready-made replacement out there. Whereas Ezri, outside of obviously Lindelof, you're talking maybe tossing over Rabiot. Here, obviously, the name that comes to mind straight away is Nicholas Jackson. And for me, I'll be all for that. Nicholas Jackson worked under Unai. Unai's wanted him in the past, that first winter transfer window. Obviously, Emery came in like the November time. And then when we had the World Cup, while that World Cup in Qatar was going on, I think we wanted to sign him, but he had a hamstring injury, and they basically say, look, we can't sign you. So yeah, we didn't end up signing him then. I think he ended up going to Bournemouth, and he was at the training ground, done the medical at Bournemouth, had everything on the shirt on, and they basically saw his medical and said, you're going to be out for another month with your hamstring injury, so we're not going to sign you. And then went back to Villarreal. I think from Christmas to the end of the season, I can't remember the exact period, but it was over a 2-month stretch. I think he ended up scoring something like 12 goals. And he scored 12 goals and ended up at the tail end of it getting like 7 and 9 or something like that. Absolutely on fire. And then obviously he got his move to Chelsea. In his first season, I think he got 14, 15 goals. And they were poor that season. That's the season they qualified for the Conference League. They were poor that season. But he was someone that stood out to me anyway, off the ball. I know he has his questions on the finishing, but can he be clinical enough? But off the ball, his work rate is superb. Very similar to Ollie. And yeah, he came out in interviews, I think it was last year, saying that basically he owes everything to Emery for where he's got to in his footballing career. So it wouldn't surprise me if that does come off. I know there is that 40-day rule or whatever it is, that you can't sign players from the same club on different occasions, because to do with like the swapping deals like we had with Maatsen and Kellerman a few years ago. But for me, there's plenty of evidence there to show UEFA, look, we've been long-term admirers of him. The coach has worked with him before. The players openly stated that he'd be open to coming to Villa. There's no swapping in terms of us taking Garnacho and Jackson, 2 French players on Chelsea's books, and then us giving them Rodgers. I don't think that'd be too much of an issue. And looking forward, like if you look, you have Maggio, who's 17, turning 18 soon. If you look at him and Watkins, when Maggio's going to want to step into the shoes of Watkins, that's going to probably be in a couple of years, because Watkins will be 30, 32, 33 then. If I could pick, a partnership of Watkins or Maggio, or Jackson or Maggio, Jackson and Maggio would be a much better partnership, because it's so much like long term. Jackson could be with us for 3 years, then we sell him on for double the money. Whatever it is, Maggio's then ready. Whereas I feel like in 2 years, he would have to be ready to take that mantle from Ollie. But I think Jackson for Villa would be unbelievable. I don't know, like he gets made a scapegoat quite a lot, but Jackson for Villa would be unbelievable. I think obviously he's worked under Emery, scored bags of goals under Emery, scored for got good goals for Chelsea as well. Bayern Munich last season, I think. Obviously, he was going to play second fiddle to Harry Kane. Everyone knew that, but he got, I think I want to say over 10 goal contributions that season. I mean, when I think he only played 20 odd games, and a lot of them off the bench. So it goes to show like there is quality there. With Emery as well, I don't have no doubt that Jackson will flourish under our system and how we play. If Ollie was to go, I'll definitely be going after Jackson. But make sure you guys leave your thoughts in the comments regarding Ezri and Ollie, because them two are obviously the big ones that that's kind of happened. A lot of people talking about a lot of change this year. It is, you've lost Martinez, will probably go at some point. Ezri's now gone. Luca Dean, Tielemans, Rodgers, and Watkins. Don't know if I've missed anyone there, but that is a lot of players that have gone out the door from that starting lineup in Istanbul. So all I would say is keep the faith. You got Emery, who is the key to it all. As long as you have Emery, we're absolutely fine. We keep Emery, I don't think there is no limit to what we want to do like that. Typho said in Istanbul, there's no limit to our dreams. And that's so true. As long as we keep Emery, I think we'll be fine. Emery's never had to get his own players in. It's always been drip fed. He's now getting in players that are very much Emery led, and players that he wants. If you get Jackson as well, there's players there that he's been after for years, and I think we've got to be excited. If you're not excited about what's going on at the minute, I get you're going to be nervous at times, but you have to be excited. I think, all right, we might, because a lot of players you have to bet on, we might not get Champions League football this year, but if we can still get European football, this squad, the squad we did have at the start of next season, we'll be in a much better place with the squad we will have now, or who we will have come the end of the transfer window. That squad will be much better at the start of next season than the squad we did have last season, that makes sense. Probably lost you all with that one. We'd be in a much better place. Younger players, lower wages, so lower expenditure means we can spend more. Obviously, the stand will be done by then, so there'll be a lot more feel around Villa Park again. A lot of these players will need bedding in. You're going to blood a few of them in, but there's going to be players that are going to need time. As long as they show effort, Villa fans don't mind if they misplace the odd pass. As long as they show willing, absolutely fine. That's why I didn't work with Bailey, who we'll touch on a bit later on. Bailey had all the ability, but off the ball it was shocking, and it frustrates Villa fans. That's why Villa fans never truly got on well with that relationship. And you look at like John McGinn, first game against Wigan, smashes into their fullback, and it's like that's what Villa fans want. Give them that year at the end of the start of next season, I think we'll be in a much better place. Like I said, this year, I have no doubts I think we'll get Europe. I don't think we won't. So if we get European football, whether it be Champions League or Europa League, and then start next season, I think we'll really kick on. I think, like I said, the only way's up. I think it was an aging squad. We needed a refresh. Why not do it all together instead of one or two signings? Another thing I saw about online was obviously the signings of Suzuki and Ruggieri and how they fit into Villa's plans. I want to talk a little bit about this as well, because we touched on it a little bit on Monday night with me, Scott, and Nathan, but I just wanted to talk about it just a bit more in depth about people that don't necessarily know a lot about Suzuki, and he's not going to fill Martinez's shoes, and Ruggieri, how's he fit with Maatsen, what type of player is he, is he better than Maatsen, is he worse than Maatsen? So I just wanted to talk a little bit more about it, just to give you guys a little bit more information if you didn't already know. So we'll start with Suzuki first. So Suzuki I'm pretty sure was born in America to a Ghanaian father and a Japanese mother, and he chose to represent Japan, but he had obviously which choice got my hair. He had choices of all three, but he chose to represent Japan. I think he moved there when he was young. He was young. I'm pretty sure he did. Obviously, yeah, was brought up in Japan, made a name for himself there. Got a move over to Belgium. Spent 1 year in Belgium, finished mid-table. Spent 1 year in Belgium, and then obviously got his move to Parma, and that's where, you know, obviously when you're in a top European league, I know obviously the Italian league isn't as great as what it was in like the 80s and 90s, but nonetheless, you know, everyone's watched clips of him. You see the saves he made against Inter Milan at San Siro. You know, he's starting to get on that world stage, and played very well for Parma. I think last year ranked similar attributes to Martinez, that, you know, I think he ranks second in claiming from crosses, so like high balls, so corners and crosses, which is really good because Martinez is so good at that. Distribution, no one's really seen him play. Distribution is very, very good, and that's only going to improve under Emery. You look at what Martinez was like at the start under Emery, you look at him now, different player with the ball at his feet. Suzuki will be better than what he is now, 100%, which is so good because I think he's one of the best young goalkeepers in the world. So to get him for the price we got him for, I think we'll look back on it and be a steal. Ball with his feet, very good. Throwing, I don't know if any of you've seen him throwing. He can throw the ball past the halfway line. There was a quote that I don't know if it was a Parma coach, but there was a goalkeeping coach he was working with, and he's basically setting up a drill, and he said to Suzuki, he was like, "Look, I'm going to set this drill up, just give me a minute." And anyway, he was like, "It's a throwing drill though, so just like don't kick or nothing, it's just a throwing drill, so just warm up your arms and just let me set it up." Anyway, he's on the halfway line. He's setting up these like cones, like targets to hit, like get it in that zone, high, low, medium zones. He's setting up the high zone, and then the ball comes over, hits him on the shoulder. He's turned around. He's like, "What I tell you about kicking the ball? Like, don't kick the ball. Like, this is specifically throwing." And he was like, "No, that was a throw." And he was like, "What? You can throw over that?" Like he went past this zone. And he was like, "Yeah, that was my throw." And yeah, if you saw any of the Parma last season, even Japan in the World Cup, he can throw so far. And I think that's a tool we'll try utilise. Martinez loved that, the throw out to Maatsen and Pau as well. I feel like we might be seeing that, where you might get Maatsen or Cash just bomb on, and you think, yeah, bang, see you later. But yeah, and if I could pick any replacement for Martinez, it would have been Suzuki. Do I think he's as good as Martinez right now? Absolutely not, because Martinez is the best goalie I've seen in my lifetime, one of the best goalkeepers in the world. No one that we can bring in world football is going to replicate what Martinez does. We just, as long as we know that, you drop your expectations slightly, because Martinez was very good in one-on-one situations, for example. Suzuki might not be that, so it's got to give him time. I think there was a game, a couple of years ago, where he made a mistake and he got abused quite a lot for it, racial abuse, which obviously he'd never get from Villa fans. Villa fans very much love the players that love the club, and I don't know if any of you seen his little interview today. He spoke very highly of the club, and already he's won fans over. So he'd never get that sort of abuse at Villa, never. But he said after that, he was like, "I don't appreciate the abuse I'm getting, blah, blah, blah." He was like, and nonetheless, it's not going to stop me from becoming the best goalkeeper in the world. And in the interview today, he says he wants to win things with Villa. So perfect frame, very, like we talk about Maggio, being so young and built like that. Suzuki's only 23, I think. Built very, very well, built for the Premier League, similar size to Martinez, 6'4", built like a fridge freezer. So I'm very excited to see Suzuki. Whether or not he plays against Brighton, I'm not sure. I probably think it'll be Bezo, just because he's had the whole pre-season. But again, wouldn't surprise me if Suzuki played. Another one I want to talk about is obviously Ruggieri as well. Just touch on him. was brilliant at Atalanta. A bit more adventurous at Atalanta than what he was at Atletico Madrid. Atalanta worked under Gasperini. They won the Europa League that season. Anyone that watched Atalanta that season knows that off the ball is very vigorous, very very in depth, similar to what we are with Emery, to be fair. So I think that's why he suits us so well. He's worked under Gasperini, worked under Simeone, two of the best tacticians in world football, in my opinion. So he's now coming to another one in Unai Emery, where he's already drilled into the fact that, you know, off the ball is the most important thing. You know, when he gets the ball, the first, like, as a fullback, his first thought is a defensive one. He already knows that. So I feel like he'll settle very, very quickly to Unai Emery's system. How it relates with Maatsen, I'm not sure, because Maatsen in a weird way feels like a new signing, because he's never been a starter. He's come in for a few games here and there, but it's been Luka Dean's place. So Maatsen in a weird way feels like a new signing. Can he make that step up against PSG? Probably best player on the pitch alongside Hemmings. Can he keep that momentum going? Because then at the minute it's his shirt to lose. But there'll definitely be games where you look at and you think, we need Rogerio. When you're playing away at Old Trafford or wherever, you need a bit of bite. Like we're saying, like we're linked with Paulinho. Don't know if any of you saw his rumours about him going Benfica, but apparently he prefers the move to Villa. Don't know how that one materialised, but again, let's say for example you get Paulinho as well. You got away at these tough grounds, or even away midweek in Europe. You got Paulinho, Kamara, João Gomez, like these like dogs that can fight for you in the middle. You got Ruggieri, and we're going to touch on him in a minute, but Wan-Bissaka as well. Two guys that it's going to be very, very hard to get around. I'm all for the signing. There's a bit of a backlash, obviously, with all I don't know if it's an ongoing case, but the things that are surrounding him regarding like the racial slurs and him paying for them and stuff, like the racial voice notes and stuff. Nothing's been proven. The guy that accused him has been in prison before for basically perverting the court of justice. So he's been done for lying. So as far as I'm aware, it hasn't got legs to it. That's as I'm taking it. He'll get my full support, Ruggieri being a Villa player. He's a warrior as well. Sweet left foot on him as well. So I'm looking forward to seeing him in a Villa shirt. I think he's got number 13 and Suzuki's got number 1. I saw Suzuki's interview. I haven't seen Ruggieri's yet, but I know they have released one. So I will be watching that after this. But very excited to see Ruggieri play and Suzuki. Going to the other side, right back, Aaron Wan-Bissaka. Saw a lot of comments on online today saying that it's a bit too much for him. The initial sort of £25 million. I think we offered 15, 12 or 15. They then rejected it. It looks like we've come to a happy medium of loan with a conditional obligation, which means might be performances, might be, which gives everyone PTSD or Harvey Elliott, might be performances, might be clean sheets, might be if we qualify for Europe, Champions League, etc. positions in the league. We don't know that yet, but I saw somewhere today, I think it was David Ornstein or John Townley saying that it might have been Jacob Townswell actually, saying it was 18 million, which I don't think is too bad. I think he provides perfect balance for Cash. Cash is better going forward, even though he has improved defensively. He was better last season than what he was in previous seasons. No one comes close to Wan-Bissaka, and people might slate him for on the ball, but I think Wan-Bissaka is going to be a player where, when we don't have a lot of the ball, like I said, we might be away at the Etihad. That's Wan-Bissaka all day. That is, he's got Martinelli running at him, he's got Ødegaard running at him, he's got Soles running at him, Havertz, whoever. No one will get past him. They'll have no other option but to cut back and play it back towards their own goal, because no one will get past Wan-Bissaka. You might get that initial phase, but then he's the only player I can see that swings his leg round to slide tackle. It's crazy. I've never seen a fullback defend 1v1 like that in my life. He was probably the best defensive fullback I have seen in my life, until he might be still. Nuno Mendes in past couple of seasons has been really good defensively. he's probably the only one I'll put up there. And again, that's not me saying Wan-Bissaka is one of the best right backs in the world. I'm not saying that. But defensively, he is so good, and I feel like he'll provide perfect balance for Cash, and it'll give him a rest as well, because Cash has basically played 3 years straight. He had the brief time on the bench when Garcia came in. I think Garcia started 8 of his first 11 games in all comps, I think, and then also so he had a bit of time on the bench then, and also when Ezri played right back at the start of that season where we ended up qualifying for Champions League. Apart from that, he's played every single game, and it will do him well, like it'll do Maatsen well, because we expect a lot of our fullbacks in an Unai Emery system, constant rotation. And again, you're away in Europe, Wan-Bissaka all day long. If you're away at Paris Saint-Germain, play Wan-Bissaka and Ruggieri all day long. You know, if you're home to anyone, you'll probably play your 2 attacking boys, but away against tough teams, 100% you're playing your, you know, Ruggieri and Wan-Bissaka is going to be a hard, you know, it's going to be a hard day for any wing back. So yeah, I'm personally buzzing with Wan-Bissaka. I think his medical was this morning, Wednesday morning, so that'll either get announced some point tonight or tomorrow. So stay tuned for that, because again, good signing, a loan as well. So smart by Villa. That is basically it. The only other thing I wanted to touch on was there's been a few loose links to Bailey to Ajax. That's a good move for him. He was there when he was younger, I want to say. I can't remember if he went from Belgium to Ajax or Ajax to Belgium. I think he went from Ajax to Belgium, then from Belgium to Germany, I want to say. So he knows, obviously, the club. I know it's changed a lot in recent years. They got Johan Cruyff's son, should I say. Johan Cruyff's son as their sporting director. So I know they're going through a bit of a development phase at the minute. I went to watch an Ajax game last year. I've done the stadium tour, and I spoke to the tour guide there, and he was very much in the know, and he was like, yeah, it's like a big transitional phase, like that year they had in the Champions League where they got to semi-finals, when they had David Neres, Onana in goal, De Ligt, Van der Beek, Frankie de Jong, all these players. They want to get back to Dusan Tadic as well, sorry. They want to get back to that time, but it's about a process. And they've lost this season already. Mika Godst, who I've spoken about in the podcast before, I think one of the best wingers in the world, up-and-coming wingers in the world, just gone to Paris Saint-Germain for £50 million. He's gone. Someone's going to need to fill that hole. He doesn't play the same side as Bailey, but nonetheless, as any Ajax team is, when I went to watch them anyway last year, 1 minute on the left, then on the right, then they're in the middle, then they're up front. It's very rotational. It goes back to that old tradition of total football, which obviously Johan Cruyff started. You still get that in today's game with Ajax, where you watch an Ajax game, there's constant rotation in there. It's crazy to see, really. So it wouldn't surprise me if Bailey ends up moving there. I know obviously Bailey would want the move. Ajax obviously want him. But I've only seen the one sort of article about it. So hopefully that gains legs in the next couple of days, because if Bailey goes, that's Bailey and Gasson gone. I think that really gives us space to get another winger in. And that's what we're looking for. I think another winger, obviously right back and hopefully left back are done. Well, left back and hopefully right back are done as well. I think a centre midfielder, a winger /10, and I think we'll be okay. Or a winger and a number 10. That's what I think. But let me know your thoughts, Villa fans, in the comments. Like I said, this was just a jump on, quick ramble, talk about the stuff that's gone on today, speak a little bit more in depth about the 2 new boys that we've announced today, a bit more about them, how they play. But yeah, let me know what you boys think in the comments. And yeah, about to say, Scott usually goes up the Villa, so I guess up the Villa.